Welcome to the Ordinary Doula Podcast with Angie Rozier, hosted by Birth Learning, where we help prepare folks for labor and birth with expertise coming from 20 years of experience in a busy doula practice, helping thousands of people prepare for labor, providing essential knowledge and tools for positive and empowering birth experiences.
Well, welcome to the Ordinary Doula Podcast. My name is Angie Rozier, your host with Birth Learning, and we have a pretty awesome guest with us today. I will introduce her and then I'll let her tell us a little bit more about her. Her name is Angela Haymond, and Angela and I have actually known each other since we were in the 4th grade. So that's sometime in the 80s, and it's been fun to know each other through childhood and then into parenting as well. And we've enjoyed our friendship and association together. So she has such cool, unique experiences with so many things regarding kind of our podcast and childbirth and lots of interesting aspects of that we're going to dive into with her over a couple of episodes. So I will let Angela introduce herself a little bit further, and then we will get into our topic for this episode. Angela, take it away.
Hi. So like you said, I'm Angela Haymond. I am a single mom of 2 sons. Donovan is 18 and Kian is 20. And I am a postpartum night doula. I've been doing that for almost 10 years. And I don't know how much you want to know, but I'm currently 36 weeks pregnant as a surrogate, almost 37 weeks. And my life 10 years ago suddenly became completely surrounded by babies out of no thought or desire. It's just kind of where it led. And I say that my postpartum night doula job is the dream job I never knew I wanted. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
Very cool. So right there, you can tell she has a pretty interesting journey. And today we are going to talk about surrogacy and her pathway into surrogacy, which she has done several times at this point. And as you heard, is currently doing. She's pretty close to having another baby. So Angela, tell us a little bit about your journey into surrogacy and what brought you there. Let's start with that and
Okay.
yeah, tell us about that.
So when my first son was born in 2003, I do not have a hard time getting pregnant. It's very, very easy for me. And I think it was about day 3 after we came home from the hospital, my husband at the time was working nights, and so I was trying to keep the baby quiet during the day so he could sleep, and he was crying and I was crying, and it was just really, really hard. And I just had this thought pop into my head that said, this is supposed to be the hard part. The hard part isn't supposed to be getting the baby. And I just knew right then I was going to have a baby for someone one day, which was a weird thought to have because I didn't have a hard time. Infertility wasn't even on my radar. But having a baby and the difficulty of the adjustment was on my radar. And so I just kind of knew that would happen. And then
Way back then, you knew.
Yeah. I knew. And if you ask people who have known me since then, no one was surprised when I said I was doing my first surrogacy journey. They were like, oh yeah, you've talked about that for a really long time. So then I had my second baby 2.5 years later, and then life happened and my marriage ended, and I was a single mom and just trying to adjust to that new lifestyle. And I had never forgotten about surrogacy, and I actually offered to do it for a few of my friends that I knew that were struggling to get pregnant. And none of them wanted to take me up on it because, bless their hearts, they just really wanted me to get remarried. And they were worried if I got pregnant and then met the person I was supposed to marry, that it wouldn't happen. And I would tell them, well, then that's not someone I want to marry. Like this is something I really want to do. Like I called it something on my spiritual bucket list. And so no, 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 no. And so finally I was like,
That's
okay,
a
I
pretty
guess
big offer. If you like to say to a friend or a family member, somebody you know, do you want me
yeah,
to have a baby for you? Like
yeah.
that's, you're offering a lot there.
Yeah. And I think they probably felt like they would be selfish to take me up on it because I was a single mom and or maybe they didn't think it was as serious as I
Right? I
knew it
believe
to
you.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to go about this a different way. But and I had gone on websites a few and I just was like, I don't know who's like legitimate and who's
Because this was what, we're in early 2000s.
2000. This is about 2000, like 9 or 10 when I was
Okay.
researching. And then in 2010, I moved into my new home. And one of the very first people I met was pregnant. And I said to her, oh, congratulations on your pregnancy. And she's like, oh, thanks, but I'm a surrogate. And I was like, oh,
Best friend.
like the light just I just knew. And so I talked to her and I call her my surrogacy mentor because she pointed me to a few legitimate websites to go to and she gave me some really good advice. She's like, just look at like a few of these different agencies because I knew that's how I'd have to find a couple and you will know. Just like go on their website and you'll know when you find the one you're supposed to go to.
It'll feel right.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. Like I didn't, excuse me, I didn't even the website hadn't even finished loading and I was like, "Oh, this is the one that I need
Interesting.
to go to."
Wow. Hmm.
And so
And tell me about surrogacy agencies. Like, um, are they close to where you live? Are they national? Like, what
at
do people look for at the time? Or maybe at the time it was different.
at the time there weren't any in Utah.
Hmm.
So most I mean there was a lot in California and
Hmm.
I think a couple maybe one actually I'm not sure where a lot of them were. But I knew a few were in California and so it would be like a long distance type of relationship. Um, although the just because they're located in California doesn't mean they don't match people from all over the world. 'Cause
Right.
there are like some surrogates that have babies for people in China or in Europe or in New York or like there's all
Hmm.
kinds of
You don't have
options.
to be in geographical proximity to do this.
Mhm. And a lot of that, like you choose the couple based on the relationship you want to have with them. And for me, it was really important to have a relationship with the intended parents and the kids. And so, um,
Are there intended parents who don't want a relationship with the
mhm,
surrogate? Okay.
yeah. And there's some that don't tell their children that they were born via surrogacy.
Right. So
It
it's
can even
okay.
go
It
that
can be
far.
very open or
Yeah.
not. Gotcha.
I know like they say a lot of the ones in China come to America to have kids because it's the way to skirt around the more than two kid policy
Mm-hmm.
if they have them here. And that's more just like a language barrier and it's very transactional. Like you do the surrogacy, you give the baby to them and it's done. And I knew that wouldn't work for me. I knew
Yeah.
I
You
wanted a
wanted more
relationship.
out of the relationship.
Yes, and the agency that I picked, and like they called themselves a boutique agency. So they really like the application I filled out, I think was maybe 20 pages long.
Wow.
Probably they knew more about me than my best friend did. And then same with them. And they read all the applications and they look at the surrogates and they look at the attended parents and they try and match them up based on their similarities. And so that's what,
So
do you
is
want me?
someone selecting like for both parties, or are both parties selecting each other? Or did they select for you?
So with my agency, they selected for us that
Okay.
showed the intended parents like maybe four surrogates, and then the intended parents picked. They're like, oh, we like these two, and I was one of them. And then they send me the intended parents profile, and I look at it because I get a choice in the matter as well,
Mhm.
and
Cool.
decide how I feel good about it. I don't know if some surrogates get more than one set of intended parents to look at. I only got one.
Mhm.
There's like, what do you think? We think you'd be perfect. Look over this profile and tell us how you feel about it. And that's how I got matched the first time.
Hmm.
And
So with
then,
the application, if I can ask, you said
mhm,
they know a lot about you. I'm
yes,
sure that's health
yes,
history, right? What else? Like, tell us a little bit about what's involved in the application.
What makes you mad in traffic?
Wow,
What's
we're
your
getting like
favorite
into
book?
the
What's your
weeds.
favorite flower? What's
Wow.
your if you could have a gift card to any restaurant, what would it be?
Hmm.
Um, what
So we're
makes you
going
lose
into
your temper?
personality,
Hmm.
preferences, everything.
Yes, yes. Do
Interesting.
you believe in are you pro-life? Um are you do you have any problems with same-sex couples? Like just so many things that I really had to think about because I was like, I don't know. I've
Yeah,
never thought
interesting.
about this answer for like, what is my favorite book? Like,
Yeah. Wow. Huh.
yeah.
So they
It's,
really are trying to match
mhm,
personalities for relationship if that's what the
mhm.
people want.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
And probably a lot of health things too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Lots of health
Genetic or health
background
or
for your fertility background, how many kids you've had, how recent it's been. All my surrogacies, I've been advanced maternal age. The agency did not care about that. The agency at the time, all they cared about was that it hadn't been like 20 years since I'd had my last baby.
hmm,
My youngest was 8. No, no, no. When we got matched, he was 6 when we got matched. No, 7 when we got matched, 8 when the
okay.
babies were born. So, and that's what they care about more than like how old you are. And
Mhm. And tell me, what qualifies someone to be a surrogate or what disqualifies someone to be a surrogate? Like you have to have had your own baby at some point, correct?
yes, well, in Utah, that's a law. You've had to have your own baby. And also that's just good practice in general because
Right.
they don't want to put
Tested
an
process.
IVF embryo in someone who's infertile.
Right.
Like that
Right.
would be really, really devastating. They care a lot about your BMI. Um, they care, you can't be on any kind of government assistance. Um, gosh, it's been so long. I'm trying to remember what the
Yeah.
other restrictions are. Oh, if you do have a partner, the partner needs to be on board and willing to like write a letter and say that they're supportive and but you don't have to have a partner.
And
Um,
overall general healthy, I'm sure, right?
yeah, I'm just like with all of them, there was I think 4 things that are like we're not even going to talk to you if the answer is yes or no to any of these things.
Hmm.
Government assistance, BMI, having a partner who's supportive, and having had children before, I think were the top ones.
Mhm.
But then they do a second interview where they ask more in-depth questions like tell us about your births. If you've had more than 2 C-sections, they don't like to have you as
Mhm.
a surrogate. If you've had preterm births
Right.
or a lot of miscarriages.
How about like recreational drug use? Do they get into lifestyle
They
choices like
asked
that?
that, but I don't know if they care because I have never recreationally used drugs. So
Mhm.
I don't know if that would have been a deal breaker.
Got you. Okay. Just
That's
curious.
a really good question. Um, I suppose it would mean it would depend on like if you were addicted and
Frequency or
how
last to
recently you
since.
did
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
exactly.
if you've been clean, so to speak, or
Right. Interesting.
yeah.
Hmm. Wow. So it's quite a process. Does this take weeks, months?
So I had the initial interview in the evening just to see if there's any kind of ruling out. They sent me the application the next day. The application took me like about a week to fill out. It was that intense. And then um I think I was approved like within a couple weeks. And then I received the profile of my intended parents. Mm, and this was only for my first journey. My other 3 were very different.
Hmm.
Within like a month, I received the profile, and then we were matched in March, and I had my IVF transfer in July.
Okay.
So it felt like forever,
Yeah.
but it really wasn't that long of a time. It was probably actually the shortest of all 3 that I've done.
Interesting. So it can be a process.
Yes,
Yeah.
you have to be patient.
Mm.
Because sometimes it takes a while for them to find you a match, especially if you have certain things that you're not willing to compromise, like um, same gender couples or unwilling to do selective reduction if there's like quadruplets
Right.
or yeah, it just depends on how. picky seems like the wrong word, but it's the only one I can think of right now.
Yeah. So along your process, like you had known for a long time you wanted to do this.
Mhm.
Was there anything along the process that seemed to be a barrier that you were like, oh wow, this is not as simple as I thought? Anything that made you have second thoughts as you really got into it?
Not with my first journey,
Okay.
no. Yeah, it went really, really smoothly. There was it I don't know why, but it surprised me that my intended parents had baggage. Like
Yeah,
everybody does, right? And
right.
so there was things to think about there, but not because it was bad, but just because I was like, oh,
You're working with other people, right?
yeah.
There's
But then
this
I realized
unique
like that's
relationship.
not my right to tell them you can have a baby based on like your history or like because you've had depression or like that's so
Right.
silly.
Yeah.
So that just kind of took me by surprise, but it wasn't an obstacle.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. So even though you knew you wanted it, you and you get the reality of it, you're still obviously moving forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
And
Cool.
it was pretty cool because they actually came out to meet me. They chose to fly out to meet me before we even had the medical clearance done or anything.
Wow. Okay.
They just really wanted to make sure that it was the right fit. And they were from California.
Okay. Cool. So they also wanted a relationship, obviously. You
Hmm.
guys were on the same page. Cool.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, and then what are the next steps after that?
Um, After you get matched,
Yep.
okay. So after you get matched, you get in contact with their reproductive endocrinologist. You go through the intended parent's reproductive endocrinologist. So they flew me out to California to do a medical clearance, and they just basically do an overall physical, and then they do an ultrasound to make sure your uterus is good. I can't remember the name of the kind of ultrasound they do, but they put water inside of it and then kind of blow it up and make it big so that they can see if there's any polyps or just
Mm,
like extra careful inspection of the uterus. And then they then you like so I spent a couple days with my intended parents and got to know them, and they like that one that took forever. That felt like 2 weeks.
mm,
I think it was 2 weeks before I know if I passed that. And
mm,
that probably felt the longest. And then once I passed, then we just started getting the process going of contracts, which
mm,
is
mm,
by far the longest because attorneys are busy. So I have an attorney and they have an attorney. And by the way, I don't pay for any of that stuff. They pay
mhm.
for all of
That's all
that for
included
me.
for, yeah.
Mhm. And so we do the contracts, and the contracts are, gosh, like 35 pages. Everything in the contract that you could possibly never want to know that could go wrong, but they have to put it in
Mhm,
there. Like
mm.
if the surrogate is in a car accident and put on life support, the intended parents are now um
A power of attorney kind of.
yes.
Mhm.
You cannot take her off life support until baby is at a term where the baby can be delivered via C-section. Like just
Wow.
like horrifying things that you don't
Wow.
want to think about, but you have to. Like there are things to consider. And in the
Yeah.
beginning, it's so exciting and you just can't wait and you want to be pregnant and give these families babies, but then you're like,
Mm.
oh, like I could die.
Yeah. Yeah. Really,
Like
like as you get into it, like the taking seriously
Mhm.
the risks involved to you, right? And
Yes.
very procedural, right? Like incredibly medical procedures. So folks who aren't fond of medical procedures, this might not be a good pathway for them
Yes.
to pursue.
Yes. Yeah, and it's and at this point it becomes very technical and the relationship. I mean, you're still building a relationship with them, like talking to them on the phone or texting or whatever, but you have to be careful, or at least I was like not to talk about contracts with them. It just
Mhm.
only through attorneys
Right,
because you don't want it to get awkward or talk about money
right.
because
Keep it
that
friendly.
gets awkward too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's you have a good relationship, but it's not completely transparent quite yet
Hmm.
because you're still finishing up all the legalities of everything.
Yeah. Wow.
So then you sign all the contracts and you go back and forth like between attorneys, like we want these changes, we want these changes, we don't agree with these changes. Okay, we'll compromise here. And then you finally end up signing the contracts, and then you have to wait for it to be approved. Well, Okay, so you can go about it two ways. You can choose to have the judge do the approval right then and do the birth approval, the surrogates or the parents and everything, or you can choose to get pregnant and then just do that before delivery.
Hmm.
And so there's risks to both. Um, it can take a long time to get the judge to approve it. So I chose to just go ahead and get pregnant and go ahead with the
So you're not
IVF.
waiting longer.
hmm
Hmm.
Because then you can work on all of that while you're pregnant. And
Hmm.
my attorney would always say, like, we want to get it done before baby's viable. So, like,
Hmm.
before 24 weeks, so that
Sure.
because if the baby's born before you get all of that approval, then it's my baby.
Hmm.
My
Interesting.
name goes on the birth certificate, and that's just traumatizing for everybody.
Right.
So, yeah, so that's a big long part. And there's things that the judges waive, like there's things that they have to have like a home study. I've never actually ever had any intended parents need a home study. The judge waived it every time.
Hmm.
And then sometimes the judge has you come in for a hearing, and sometimes he'll let you do it virtually, and sometimes he just approves it. I say he because I've had a he every time.
Hmm.
Um, just approves it and lets your attorney know, and you're good to go. So, yeah, that's the way that I chose to do it.
Interesting. Very cool.
Yeah. So then when you do the transfer, with my first journey, I had to do a mock transfer because I had a tricky, crooked cervix. So I went in and the reproductive endocrinologist did a pretend transfer, like with the catheter, just minus the embryo. And she literally drew a map of my cervix
Hmm.
because they don't want to upset your cervix because then you'll start contracting
Right.
and then there's less likelihood that the embryo or embryos will implant. And so she did a mock transfer and just like did a map of my cervix and figured it all out. And then I think I went back. I don't remember the time period, but then I went back for the real transfer. You're on meds for about, depending on the agency, or the doctor, like 4 to 6 weeks. You go on birth control right away, which feels super counterintuitive. But the last thing they want you to do is get pregnant on your own. They
Right.
also don't want you to ovulate
Yeah.
because that can mess with stuff.
Yeah.
So with my first journey, I actually had to go on two types of birth control because I wouldn't, I wouldn't stop ovulating. Like they'd check.
Mm.
So you have a monitoring clinic in Utah, that's where I'm from,
Hmm.
that does all of like the ultrasounds in preparation up to the transfer and then after you're pregnant. But then for the actual transfer, you go to the location the intended parents are, and their reproductive endocrinologist does the
That's
transfer
the actual
there
transfer.
where they
Wow.
are. Yeah. So like you're seeing lots of doctors in different places and
Wow. Hmm.
um
And I
with
know I've had a lot of clients who've done IVF, and I don't
mhm.
know if folks realize what an incredible amount of dedication that needs to be, right? For
It
the
is.
person receiving the transfer. So you go through this and
Yes, and I was really lucky with my first one. It was actually a needle-free
hmm,
transfer. I
wow.
only took oral, patch, or vaginal medications,
Wow.
which was really, I felt like, and people like you meet other people in the surrogacy world and they're like, "Are you sure she's reputable?" Like that feels really suspicious. And um, so, but this just proves that she is such a good doctor because when I did my second transfer with her with the second set of intended parents, she's like, studies have shown that we need to do medication through needles. And
Hmm,
so it changed with the same doctor, it changed.
interesting.
So
Within, yeah, a period of time.
yeah. And
Wow.
it really depends on your doctor what medications you're on. I don't know how much you want me to go into that or not, but
Sounds like there's a lot to get into.
yeah.
Well, let's
Estrogen, progesterone,
all the
birth
hormones, right? You
control.
get your
Yeah.
body ready to
Mhm.
receive a pregnancy. So,
Yes.
which is a big deal.
And there's
Wow.
different ways to receive it. Like I said, patches, vaginally, orally, or with needles.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
lots of different ways. And every doctor has their perfect concoction.
Hmm.
It's never been the same for me. Anyway.
Interesting. But it's worked. Like it
Yes.
the can all the methods can work.
Yes.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so you get to the transfer, which is done for you in California this time. Okay.
Yes. We do the transfer. It's really cool
And are
because
they with you during this? Like, Do some people want to be, some people not want to be like the intended parents? I guess that's kind
I
of
th
different preferences
probably
there.
if if international, then they're not there because
Yeah.
when it's
Logistics.
international, you do it where you live.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but everyone I've ever heard of, when you do the transfer, the intended parents are there, and also you get to bring a guest
Okay.
because
You have
you're
your
on
own
bed
support
rest.
person.
You have a
Gotcha.
support person mostly because you're on bed rest for the next 2 days and they have to literally do everything for
Yeah.
you,
Okay.
including carrying your luggage when you fly back.
Wow.
So,
So you go to
um,
California for a little while, like,
like 3 days, yeah.
okay,
hmm
not bad.
Yeah. And again, that's all things like you get compensated for missed lost wages and for mileage and for airline tickets, like all the things.
There's a
So,
lot of complexities to this process.
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Which is really why I recommend if you're going to do it for the first time to go through an agency.
Hmm.
I would have been completely lost. I've done 3 independent journeys since then,
Hmm.
but if I had done it independent the first time, it would have been, would
Well,
have
there's
had
so many things you don't even think about,
don't
right?
occur to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was even a little intimidating, even with experience, to make sure you're doing everything right and getting
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
done. So,
Yeah. And this is all before you even become pregnant, right? Like,
yes, yes, yes,
we're
yes.
just starting out.
I know, right?
And then you get pregnant. And okay, so now you have a 9-month journey
Yes.
with the intended parents.
hmm
Tell us a little bit about that. In
Um,
general, I know that you have, a few stories, but
Yeah. It's so after the transfer and you're on bed rest and then you go home and technically the day of transfer you're 2 weeks pregnant because you take out the period math.
hmm. Hmm.
And so you can test pretty early and everyone has their opinions on that.
Yeah.
I've had intended parents that wanted to know when I peed on a stick what the answer was, and some that didn't want to know until we did the blood test. And the blood test usually 2 weeks after the HCG blood test is 2 weeks after transfer.
Hmm.
I've tested every time on day 4 and been pregnant every time on day 4.
Wow.
And so
So that's another big moment, right, for
yes,
everyone to see if
yes,
this
it's
works. And
terrifying.
yeah,
It's terrifying.
yeah.
It's so huge. And then like I feel like a lot of surrogates are this. I'm so obsessed with like P tests, like watching it get darker and taking like 2 or 3 a day and like lining them all up and writing the dates on them. And
Wow.
it's exciting to watch, but then it's exciting to show the intended parents after.
Yeah.
My first set did not want to know. In fact, she did not want communication with me for those 2 weeks because she's like, I'm afraid I'll interpret your texts
Mm.
based on what you know. Like, oh, there's too many exclamation points, or she seems a little sad. And so we
So just
didn't
no,
really,
no contact.
no contact. And
Wow.
then the night before the blood test, she called me and said she's like, I decided I'd rather hear it from you than
Hmm.
from a doctor because they'd gotten such bad news so many times.
Right.
This
Wow.
first set of intended parents, they never had a positive pregnancy test ever.
So they had been on this journey before.
Yes. Failed. They've been trying
Wow.
for 10 years
Wow.
on their own and with their reproductive endocrinologists, failed transfer after failed transfer after failed transfer.
Wow.
And
Mm.
so she's like, I want to know from you. And so that was really exciting to be able to
Wow.
tell her. I was so glad the answer was yes.
Yeah, that's a big moment.
I know.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So then it's just about just like growing a healthy baby and growing a healthy relationship with the intended parents and um a lot of coordinating when they don't live locally with what doctor's appointments are they going to come out for. Usually in my experience, they come out for the heartbeat ultrasound and then for the anatomy ultrasound.
Hmm. The big ones that,
Mhm.
yeah. Mm.
Yeah. And then with my first journey, it was twins. And so my intended parents happened to have jobs that they could both work virtually. And the intended dad's parents had a house in Park City. And so they came out at like, gosh, I want to say like 33, 34 weeks
Just
because with
stayed.
twins, you never know.
Right.
So
Right.
we got to hang out so much more in person, and that was really fun. And they came to all the end of pregnancy appointments and the
So tell
non-stress.
me, for you, like you had had 2 children before, but this was a first multiple pregnancy for you.
Yes.
How was that? How did that feel inside of yourself? Like, all right, I've done this before, but I haven't done this multiple birth
It
and
was
delivery
so
before.
exciting. And I've said since I was in high school, I'm gonna have twins even if I have to cut the egg in half myself. Like I used those
So
words.
you were planning on this.
I just didn't know it would be for someone else.
Right. Okay.
I nannied for twins in high school every day after school for a few hours, and I just knew. And then I don't, it was really cool because when I was choosing if I wanted to go with this set of intended parents, I said a little prayer and just kind of was thoughtful about it. And I just had this picture in my brain of a boy and a girl, like maybe 3 or 4 years old, in heaven with their legs like dangling off the edge of heaven,
Hmm.
like and clapping and cheering.
They're waiting. Hmm.
And that's exactly what those twins look like now.
Oh,
Like it
wow.
was those twins. And so I just kind of knew from
Right.
the beginning,
So you kind
both
of been prepared for all of this for
I
a long
had
time.
been like just a little bit ignorantly because I'm like, I'm just gonna have twins and I don't care what I have to do it. And then a little spiritually like prepared ahead of time too, which was kind of cool.
Interesting. Very
Yeah,
interesting.
so it was really fun. I loved it. It and around 30 weeks is when it got tough.
Hmm.
And by
Like
tough,
just physically?
it hurt. Everything
Mhm.
hurt from like 30 weeks on. I'd have ice packs on my ribs and heating pads on my back. And oh my gosh, you know how everyone gets a story that they like have to win. They win the story. My story is how big my ankles got.
Hmm.
Like
It swelled right up.
my from the knee down got so swollen that my feet started growing little blisters on them
Hmm.
because there was nowhere else for the fluid to go. And they did like all the ultrasounds to make sure I didn't have any blood clots. There is shockingly little research on twins. And when I was
Interesting. Yes,
pregnant, I'm
it's
like, yeah,
true.
let me join the studies. And there was nothing. And so they're like, maybe the baby's just laying weird on a thing. Like, we don't know. I've never before or since had swollen ankles during pregnancy.
Interesting.
But this was like grotesque. Like
Huh.
like I
Wow.
don't get stretch marks on my belly, but I have stretch marks on my feet from that
On your
pregnancy.
ankles. Interesting.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you
So
said it got hard at 30 weeks. Were there other surprisingly hard parts through this? Like you knew going into it what you were doing, but did you have some surprising challenges along the way? Were there physically, emotionally, relationshiply, and well, I'll ask you that question in a minute, but
okay. No, like I was just so
okay.
excited. It was just really, really, really fun.
And
And
what makes you excited about it? What's the driver
um
for you?
well, once I stopped feeling nauseous, I really like being pregnant.
Hmm.
I just love feeling that life inside of me. And I just loved watching Matt and Nikki nest and get ready and um just prepare for their babies to come. It was so exciting knowing what I was going to do. I think there were people that were like, but you're giving this baby away. Aren't you bonding with it? And I'm giving these babies away. And I never, it was never hard. I think A, because I've always known I wanted to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
B, I was a single mom and not interested in starting over raising two more babies by myself.
Hmm.
And so it was just always just really super exciting. Every appointment, every discomfort, every kick was just like I just cherished and loved every single bit of it. It was just super, super endearing, just a
Cool.
lot of fun. And there was never, I'm trying to think, there was never, I can't think of any time where I was scared or there was a worry. Oh, well, except like baby A kept flipping up and down between breech
Mm.
and
As
head down.
multiples
Like
often do.
up until 38 weeks. Like, and I
Wow.
remember when it happened, I just raised my arms up high and just be like, hey, just get it over with. Like I could feel like it.
Do your move.
Yeah. So that part was
Wow.
really stressful actually. But nothing like
Caught you off guard,
emotionally as
really.
far as like
Okay.
giving the babies up or having a relationship with the parents or
So tell me how was it? You'd had two babies of your own, which everyone wants a healthy pregnancy, but how was it different trying to have a healthy pregnancy for someone else? Like, is there a different pressure that you feel to eat right and exercise right and do all the things and pass the glucose test and the like?
yeah.
How was that doing it for someone else?
That's I'm actually really glad you asked that question because it made pregnancy seem so much more fragile and precious. With
Mm-hmm.
my own children, I'm like, I guess they're growing arms and legs and lungs and
Mm-hmm.
hearts, and I'll find out at the
Just
20-week
trust it.
ultrasound. But when
Yeah.
you're getting a weekly ultrasound and literally watching, this is a fetal pole that turned into a baby with a heartbeat. it's like a little bouncing bean, and now suddenly it has arms, and the next week it has legs, and
So you get like a
it,
close
yes,
up
and
all
it's
the
a
time.
little bit stressful hoping
Yeah.
those legs and arms will grow, knowing that you're watching a play-by-play of it. So I'm really glad you asked that. And then um the pressure of wanting those babies to come safely for the parents did make me pay closer attention to the way I took care of my body and the things that I did. I did get gestational diabetes with them, which they say is very common with fraternal twins because you have two
Mm,
placentas.
right.
And so then I was trying to eat healthier, and I just didn't want to fail them. I
Hmm.
wanted to, but I was also never worried that it would turn out wrong
Hmm.
either,
Hmm.
that something terrible would happen. And
Yeah.
so it's just kind of a fine balance between having faith, but also suddenly realizing what a miracle pregnancy and birth is, and
Hmm.
having totally taken advantage of it before,
Hmm.
just
Yeah, just take it
assuming
for granted,
everything.
right? It just happens
Mhm.
and yeah.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, this baby's gonna grow and it's gonna be fine because it always has been. And
Right.
there's
Wow.
something about knowing the babies from when they're microscopic
Yeah.
and just knowing how hard the parents have worked and how badly they want a family.
Right. And what
Yeah.
and your role in that, which is huge.
Yeah.
Cool.
But
My
they were
next
really cute about like involving my kids and stuff too. Like they
cool.
give them birthday gifts, and the kids
Because your
weren't
kids were
holding.
young at the time. Like they
Yeah,
were
they were
little
8
kids.
and 10.
And
Yeah.
that's my next question. I'm
Okay.
glad you said that is how was that for your boys?
They were so supportive and cute. Um, you know how you can ask your kids if they'll support you in something, but you can also kind of manipulate them into saying yes. That's like what I did that
Especially
first
at those
time.
ages, right?
Yes. It makes me sound so terrible, but I think anyone who's a parent will know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. So they were super excited, like so excited. And little Kian, my oldest, when I had such the swollen feet, he'd have little nail clippers and be popping all my blisters on my
Aw.
feet and cutting
It's
them off.
helping you out.
Yeah, they were just really helpful and excited. I'll jump a little bit ahead just because it's funny. Second surrogacy, I was talking to them, and my youngest, he was 8 when they were born, so my youngest was like 10 when the second surrogacy happened. And he said to me, I said, "Will you support me on this?" And he goes, "Okay, Mom, but next time the sperm is for you."
Oh.
Like he wanted a little
Yeah.
baby
Like
sibling.
let's us have a baby.
Yes, yes. And they've always been so supportive. And I don't know if this is jumping too far ahead, but after the third time, my oldest Kian, he was like, "Okay, everybody has 2 kids. You have 2 kids. Ray and Lisa have 2 kids. Matt and Nikki have 2 kids. Like everyone has two, and we're done."
We're
And
good.
he's like, if you want to do it again when I go to college or go on a mission or whatever, then you can do that. But like we're done. And
I'm done
I was
supporting you in
in
this.
complete support of it. And now suddenly I find myself 36 weeks pregnant
Yeah,
with
and he's off, he's college
yes.
age, so
And
he was
do
right.
have to give him credit. He is they've both been, he doesn't live with me. He's been super supportive. And when I told him the story of how it happened, he said, "All of your stories are cool, but this one's like the coolest. You have to do this." And
Wow.
and I know I ask a lot of them,
Mhm.
and I'm glad you actually brought that up because I don't have a partner. They
Mhm.
have to chip
They
in
support you
more
through
than
this.
other
Yeah.
people will do.
It
Yeah,
affects their
like, but it
life.
was so fun teaching them. Like they know way more than anyone else their age. When the twins were getting close to the due date, I was talking to them like my water might break and I might have contractions. Or they didn't say contraction, my water might break and like we'll take you to dad's and here's how it will go. And Kian goes, "And after your water breaks, that's when your erections start, right?"
Or something
Contractions
like
get
that.
close. Like they were trying so hard to learn and they were just so fascinated with it.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it was,
amazing.
they've been great, great boys. And I know how much I've asked of them, and
Mhm.
they've just been champs being so
And
super.
this really, at this point, has been part of their life, right? You've been doing
Seriously.
this for 10 years. They've been doing this for 10 years. So they have a whole cool education, right? And
They
preparation.
really do. Like they'll probably maybe know more than their wives and girlfriends do
Right.
about reproductive.
You're probably right.
And they've never complained. They've been so supportive. And part of, besides knowing I wanted to do it, is I just think it's really important to teach. I wanted to teach them that like you do things for other people.
Hmm. This is one of the biggest things you can
Hmm.
do for
You be
anyone,
selfless. And obviously they can't do that.
right?
But I hope it teaches them that there's other sacrifices you can make and things
Yeah.
that you can do.
Cool.
So
So cool.
yeah.
Well, Angela, we are at like we have had a great conversation, and there's so much more we can talk about, but we
Really.
are kind of at time.
Okay.
Would you be willing to come back and tell some specific stories of your journeys on
Absolutely.
another podcast? Okay, that would be
Yeah.
super cool. So tell us, like, just to close up, what would you share about you're on your fourth surrogacy journey,
Hmm.
which will include 5 babies
Hmm.
total that you will have helped other families with, and in addition to your own 2 boys. But just high level to close up, what would you say about your journey? What's the last thoughts you could leave with our folks?
Hmm. I guess my brain's kind of scrambling because I'm like to giving advice to people who are thinking about it or advice to people who are struggling with infertility
Or
or
people just want to know about the journey, right? On
yeah.
either side, for the IP intended parents or for the surrogate persons. What are some
Gosh,
lessons
I
you've
think what
learned?
I'd say, like, if you know someone who's doing a surrogacy and you don't know anything about that, ask them questions.
Mm,
Because there's so many old wives' tales and like things that people think um are true about surrogacy that aren't. And
mhm.
usually surrogates are really happy to educate people and just let them know how it goes and what's happening. Please don't ever ask a surrogate how much money she makes. Like
Right,
that's a really awkward question, and it makes you feel really, really bad. Like, because that's not the focus of the journey. The focus of
right,
the journey is getting the babies there.
right.
But I don't know. I just I'm kind of at a loss for words because I feel like I would have to talk for like 10 minutes
Yeah.
to
And
wrap
you're
this.
right, it depends on who your audience is, right? Like,
Yeah.
but just in general, to the general, let's say we're talking to the general public, or and the people that listen to this podcast are people interested in pregnancy or preparing a pregnancy of their own, or on a pregnancy journey of their own. And I think in my experience, and I've been a doula for several surrogates at this point, it's becoming more common, right? Have you sensed that over the
Oh yeah.
years?
Hmm.
So I
It's
think it's more of
becoming
a topic
very
of conversation.
it's destigmatized. People are
Yes.
a bit way less judgmental about it than they
Yep.
used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think that the biggest point is that there's no wrong way to make a family.
Mm,
That
cool.
people deserve to have children, and sometimes they have to ask others to sacrifice to make that happen.
Right. And make their
And
own sacrifices too,
yes,
right? Like,
yes.
yep.
And honestly, I would love to put a plug for people who are thinking about doing it. There's so many people
Being
who
a
need
surrogate.
surrogates, and they are in really low supply
Wow.
compared to how many people want them.
Interesting.
So, if it's something that's even occurred to you that you'd like to explore, and also, I don't know if any of your listeners ever reach out, but I'm happy to tell my story and give them direction and help
Cool.
them know what to do because it's an unbelievable experience. Having said that, I know that there's certain personalities that can do it and certain ones that can't.
True.
Like some people just bond too much with the baby that they're growing and
Hmm.
or there's just different reasons to do it or to not. But if you're thinking about it, man, I don't think you would
Consider it.
ever regret it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. So, okay, now to close up, Angela is just weeks away from another delivery. And as she said before, and I totally love this, she and I are the same age, and she is advanced maternal age and doing her fourth surrogacy journey, which is
Yes.
so cool. And can you tell us how old you are? Are you cool with
Yes, as
that?
long as you don't mind that I'm ratting out how old you are
How
as
old
well.
we are? Tell
She's
tell
way younger than me. She's like the younger
like a
part half
few
of this.
months.
I'm 48.
Which is so cool. And the
Yeah,
pregnancy is going well,
really
right?
well.
Like
Hmm.
very healthy, and you've worked hard to do so.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's incredible to watch. It's been so amazing. So
Thank you.
yeah, excellent work. I know that these intended parents are. It's been fun to meet them, and happy for their journey and
Yeah,
what's
it's super
lays ahead for them.
exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool. Awesome. Well, Angela, thanks for being with us today. We are going to have you back again, and maybe get into the details of some of your journeys, if that's all right with you.
Mhm.
But we appreciate your time and the service that you've provided for, at this point, many families. We sure appreciate that. So we'll close up this episode of the Ordinary Doula podcast. Thanks so much for being with us. This is Angie Rozier, your host. We are sponsored by Birth Learning. We hope you go, and I loved what in Angela's words, go do something for someone else today. There's always ways we can find creative and simple to reach out and touch the lives of others for good. We hope to see you again next time.
Thank you for listening to the Ordinary Doula podcast with Angie Rozier, hosted by Birth Learning. Episode credits will be in the show notes. Tune in next time as we continue to explore the many aspects of giving birth.